Happy Spookies, everybody. I hope you're all doing well, having a most excellent day. Today I want to go ahead and talk about a brand new horror movie that just recently came out, The Black Phone.
Doesn't work. Not since I was a kid.
I'll scream. I'll scratch your face.
This face? Look what you made me do.
Please hurry!
You remember what I told you?
There's some...
Now, this was directed by Scott Derrickson. He went and directed Exorcism of Emily Rose, Sinister, the first Doctor Strange movie. Knowing that, I had full confidence, to be honest. I was a fan of Sinister. Doctor Strange, the first movie, is one of my favorite MCU movies. And I have not seen it in a very long time, but I do remember liking Exorcism of Emily Rose. Now, the movie stars Mason Thames as Finney. We also have Madeline McGraw as Gwen, Ethan Hawke as the Grabber, Jeremy Davis as Terrence, and we have two detectives in the movie. We have E. Roger Mitchell playing Detective Wright and Troy Rutziel playing Detective Miller, as well as James Ransom playing Max. There's a bunch of other characters, supporting actors, things like that, but it's just too many. I'm gonna stick with the main people we follow around. If you're not familiar with the movie, it takes place in the 70s, and it's all about Ethan Hawke's character, who has been nicknamed the Grabber by the media. He's going around and abducting kids in a black van, dressed like as a magician. His latest abductee is Finney, kind of like introvert kid. He's getting bullied often, which was kind of hard to see. He doesn't have the best life at home, and he's not one to really fight back and stand up for himself. But he's very willing to be there to take the punch, if you will. And the movie is just about him being locked up in the basement, trying to figure out how to escape. Meanwhile, there's this disconnected old phone hanging off the wall, and it will constantly ring, and on the other end are these voices. Who's on the other end calling? Very, very good movie in my opinion. I made a tweet about this and it freaking blew up. I could not believe it, and there was a lot of people that just were hating on this movie, and I could see that. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you this was perfect, okay, because there's things when I was watching this I was like, okay, why not do this instead of that? There were plenty of times where that prompted my head, okay, why would you be doing that instead of doing something like this that would seem more beneficial? But I personally found this scary. A lot of people were saying, oh, I wish this was a lot scarier. You know what, dude? I don't know if it's because I'm a brand new father now, but just the thought of my kid walking home, I don't even want to say it out loud, to be honest. So just putting myself in that situation was horrifying. I don't fuck that. Ethan Hawke, dude, killed it. Oh man, he was so creepy. I loved his mask and everything. There was different, there was one for smiling. There was ones when he was sad or mad. It was really creepy. His voice was eerie too.
I was down here once when it rang. Ooh, creepiest damn thing.
It would come off just very, I don't know, it didn't sound like him at all. It totally didn't. I love how he was just really into this character. Also, I was reading up on, I believe, Wikipedia about this movie. When he was approached to do this, he almost turned it down. He said he was getting older and he didn't want to be remembered as a villain. But then he started thinking and said, you know what, I'm hitting my 50s. I think the villain roles are probably going to be my best bet. Good thing you did this movie, because damn, dude, he was just so effective as the Grabber. My favorite person in this movie had to have been Madeline McGraw, the younger sister. I really enjoyed the relationship between the brother and sister. That was something I wish I could have had with, growing up. It really just hit. Also, their dad was just this alcoholic, and he's super abusive. There's a scene where she's getting beat because there's a whole, okay, so here we go. I'm gonna go into spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie, go ahead and rent it. It's on VOD, Amazon, and stuff like that. So spoilers. The sister is actually prone to having visions, dreams and stuff like that, and she's kind of helping out throughout the movie later on with the cops and things like that, because they show up to her school and they're asking her how she knew about something, because one of the kids that got kidnapped at the very beginning, she told the sister hey, I had a dream of your brother, some weird shit was going on. Later on, that same kid gets kidnapped, and then she ends up telling the cops, so the cops are there talking to her about it. But the dad, I guess they go to his work or something, and he gets super mad about that, dude. He just beats the hell out of her. And it was this part where she grabs the alcohol bottle and she's I'll drop it if you hit me. I don't know. This movie hit, things like this. It wasn't even it didn't have to have jump scares, which it did. It had 2, I think, if I can recall, but it didn't necessarily have to have jump scares to scare me. Personally, I found this terrifying. The concept of just some dudes stealing your kids, abusive parents, alcoholism, stuff like that. That's real problems. She was the best part of the movie. She had some of the funnest lines, dude. Some of the best lines in the movie came from her.
Yeah, I took him down because obviously I'm the grabber, you dumb fucking fart knockers.
Gwendolyn Blake.
She had such a foul mouth. I loved it. And she also had her brother's back. Like, there's a part where he's getting bullied a lot. He's in a fight. And she comes there and has his back 100%.
Fucking cocksucking cowards!
Also, I can see people hating on this because of the Ghost Kids aspect. I don't know. I didn't have no issue with that. It's like almost like Sinister. People hate on that movie too, but it's good. I don't know. And this was even better than Sinister in my opinion. But the Ghost Kids in this movie I thought were excellent. They're the ones calling Finn, and throughout the movie they're kind of like giving him like one dude's like, hey, look under the rug. There's like some wire. You can use that to like pull down that railing from the window or whatever. You know, they're telling them things to do. I'm not gonna go into everything because I don't want to spoil the whole movie for you. But he ends up like gathering all this information, all these like this materials and stuff that these ghost kids were kind of talking to him, and it benefits him so much in the very end. He also finally stands up for himself. He has a really good friend in this movie called Robin. Robin doesn't take no shit. He beats the fuck out of people. There's a lot of fucking fighting in this movie. Like straight up, there's a lot of fighting in this movie. Damn, the 70s were wild. But yeah, he's got a friend named Robin, and he ends up being abducted.
Thank you.
You're gonna have to stand up for yourself one of these days.
I don't know.
Also, all the kids that are abducted, they have like this, like the way they kind of show it sometimes. They don't show them for all of them, but they do like these little flashbacks and stuff like that. Like there's one for this guy named Vance Hopper or something. I don't remember his name, Vance. Something, he like playing pinball. That the pinball machine scene was freaking hilarious, but they show this flashback of this dude and how... Yeah, the pinball scene, if you know what I'm talking about, that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. But the way that they have these like sort of flashbacks or visions of Gwen reminded me of Sinister. I really enjoyed that a lot. I'm kind of jumping all over the place. I know that the music was really great in this freaking movie, man. They even played some Pink Floyd at the end. Oh, you know who was really... This movie was funny. Like, it had some really good comedic relief moments. A lot with the younger sister, but a lot with freaking... Well, not a lot, but there's... a scene where we find out that the grabber has somebody upstairs staying with him, and it ends up being his brother, who is like this fucking cokehead, jobless, and the police come knock on his door, which is probably one of the coolest scenes, is when the police are at his house. I'll get to that right now. But the police come knock on his door, and he's just coked out of his fucking mind, and he's like, come in. And somebody said this on Twitter, but it reminded me of, it's like, basically this dude, Max, the brother, is freaking Charlie from It's Always Sunny.
Jesus Christ. That right there is the mail. Now let's talk about the mail. Can we talk about the mail, please, Mac? I'm dying to talk about the mail with you all day, okay?
But Max is like this coked out brother who's staying with the grabber, which is just a whole complication in itself for the grabber. He's like, he's working on the case too. He has like a billboard, and he has like all the kids that are missing. He has a map, and he's trying to tell the cops, you know, he's taking these kids really quick, and he has to be able to take them and get them back. So, you know, he's like working everything out. The cops are just like, okay, dude, like, we see your coke, just clean the fuck up, bye. And there's this really cool scene where Max does a bump, and then it's just like the camera's just going down, and you find out, holy shit, that's freaking the grabber's house. That was like one of the best reveals in the freaking movie. Dude, that naughty boy shit was creepy. So the grabber likes to leave the door unlocked, and he's hoping that Finn will go out there, because if he goes out there and tries to escape, he's gonna play naughty boy with him. We learn what naughty boy is from one of the phone calls of the ghost kid, but basically he's got a belt and he's ready. He didn't say you can leave, so if you try to go up there and escape, he's gonna beat the hell out of you until you pass out. And then they can move on to like the next phase of naughty boy, which is like his favorite part. There's a lot of like, I don't know, ambiguity about like his backstory and things like that, which I actually really like. We don't get a motive. Like what's his end game with this thing? Like he's just a psychopath, dude. That's it. Like, you know, he's just a fucking weirdo. There was a couple jump scares that I really liked. The first one I felt was really good because I didn't see it coming, and it wasn't like a jump scare where it's trying to like really scare you. It just happened to like pop up. And he's on the phone, and we get like the first image, I think, of one of the ghost kids, but it just, the way the camera pans and he just happens to be there, you're just like, oh shit.
Who are you?
But the second jump scare was really good in the movie. He's like in the basement. He's got his little flashlight. He's like looking around. There's like a kid, almost like Vecna style, like hanging. You know what I'm talking about? So look, this movie isn't perfect, of course. There's some plot holes. I don't know if that was what you would call them, but just choices. How about that? Choices that were made in this movie that did not make sense. Okay, there's a part where Finn is talking to one of the ghost kids. He's like, you know what? He is way too tired right now. You can make your chance. Go out there. There's a combination log. You have to look and guess what the number is, blah, 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 blah. So Finn is able to like walk out there, and he walks right by the dude. And I'm sitting there thinking, why don't you just kill him? Like, why don't you just stab him? At the same time, you could also argue, you know what? He's still a very shy dude. He still hasn't come out of his shell, because it's not till the end where he finally decides to fight back. So I guess you could argue with that, but still. He ends up getting away, and he runs out the door. The dude wakes up, hops in his van, and he chases him. Y'all ever watch Game of Thrones when that dude, it's like one of the last seasons, and everybody was making fun of it because the kid, I forgot who is it. It's like one of the younger brothers or something of the Starks is told he can run free. When he had a chance to run outside, it made no sense to me. He should have ran across the street. He should have ran into the next door neighbor's house, started banging on the door. Like, I don't know. And then he like gets cut off and runs into the van. Like, you know, he's running and the van comes like, bro, you could have just like turned around and ran the opposite. I don't know. See, obviously it's not perfect. I'm not going to sit here and say this is the most amazing movie ever, but I really fucking liked it. Happy Spookies.
Yeah, I took him down because obviously I'm the grabber, you dumb fucking fart knockers.
Gwendolyn Blake.